The ballroom glittered with diamonds and champagne. Every billionaire dressed like royalty. At the center stood Victor Hale, the tech tycoon who owned half the city, laughing as a nervous waitress stumbled and spilled wine on his suit. "Do you even know how much this costs?" he sneered. The guests roared with cruel laughter. The waitress lowered her head, silent, her hands trembling. To them, she was nothing, invisible. But what no one knew, what even Victor himself didn't know, was that the girl he mocked tonight wasn't just a waitress. She was a ghost, a hacker who could collapse empires with a few keystrokes. And tonight, she wasn't serving drinks. She was serving revenge. The room believed she was powerless. But within the hour, every single person there would learn that the most dangerous person in the room was not the billionaire on stage, but the girl holding a tray. Underscore. The chandeliers shimmered above as Victor Hale raised his glass, soaking in the attention. Cameras flashed. Journalists scribbled notes. It was supposed to be a flawless evening, a celebration of Hale Industries' latest triumph in global markets. Tonight, Victor's voice boomed. "We celebrate power, innovation, and the kind of progress only wealth can buy." The crowd erupted into applause, their faces glowing with admiration or fear. It was hard to tell which. For decades, Hale had been untouchable, a symbol of dominance. To cross him was to invite ruin. But in the corner of the hall, blending seamlessly with the staff, stood Amara. Her black apron and white shirt made her invisible. That's what she needed. Invisible enough to slip through unnoticed. Invisible enough to strike when it mattered most. Her father's voice echoed in her memory. "They'll never see you coming. Sweetheart, that's your strength." He had said those words years ago, back when he was still alive, back when Victor Hale hadn't destroyed him. Her father had been a brilliant inventor, the kind of man who dreamed of technology that could help people. But Hale saw opportunity and profit. He sued, sabotaged, and stripped him of everything. The media called it business. Amara called it blood on Hale's hands. And now, years later, here she was, inside Hale's kingdom, wearing the mask of servant, the perfect cover. Amara moved between tables with practiced grace. Billionaires, politicians, celebrities, none of them noticed her. They never noticed people like her. That was her greatest weapon. She carried a tray of champagne flutes, setting them down on a marble table, then quietly slipped one hand into her apron. Her fingers brushed against the sleek black device hidden there. The weapon wasn't a gun or a knife. It was a drive loaded with a virus she had spent 2 years crafting. That virus wasn't just code. It was poison. It would eat through Hale's empire line by line, server by server, until the foundation of his empire collapsed. But tonight wasn't just about destroying data. Tonight was about exposing truth. Victor's arrogance. Victor basked in the glow of the spotlight, adjusting his diamond cufflinks as though he were royalty. His laughter echoed when he mocked the clumsy waitress earlier, his arrogance filling the room like a stench. He didn't notice the whispers around him, didn't notice the subtle unease, because somewhere, deep in the building's core, his systems were already failing. Suddenly, the massive screen behind him glitched. At first, just a flicker. Guests assumed it was nothing, but then static spread like wildfire across the visuals, eating away at the Hale Industries logo until only black remained. The orchestra's music faltered. Guests turned, murmuring nervously. Victor's smile twitched. He snapped at his tech team to fix it, and then the voice came. The first strike. Victor Hale. The speakers boomed, distorted but clear enough to freeze the air. The world is watching. Tonight, your empire begins to fall. A collective gasp swept through the crowd. Guests looked around wildly, terrified they were part of some terrorist attack. Phones came out. Cameras recorded. Victor's face drained of color. "Turn it off!" he roared, spittle flying. Security scrambled, staff panicked, but no one could stop it. On screen, images appeared, grainy photographs of Victor in secret meetings, documents showing offshore accounts, payments to corrupt officials. Secrets buried for decades now lit up across every screen in his ballroom. The mighty lion was being skinned alive in front of his own worshippers. And Amara? She slipped past them all, her heart steady, her tray now abandoned, the ghost in the room. No one suspected her. They never would. Who would believe that the girl carrying champagne had just humiliated the city's most powerful man? She reached the staff corridor, pulling out her phone. Code scrolled across the screen like a river of fire. She whispered into her earpiece. Phase 1 complete. Uploading second package. Copy, a voice replied. Her lips twitched upward. Tonight was personal. Tonight, the ghost would become a storm. __. The hacker's shadow war. The ballroom was chaos. Guests whispered in shock. Security scrambled. Journalists furiously recorded everything. The billionaire who once controlled the room now stood cornered, his empire bleeding in real time. But this was only the beginning. Amara in the shadows. In the staff corridor, Amara pulled off her apron and tossed it into a laundry bin. Beneath her uniform was a simple black hoodie. She moved quickly but not recklessly. Panic was dangerous. Precision was survival. Her earpiece crackled. You're clear for Phase 2. Amara. Extraction point in 40 minutes. Understood, she whispered. But her eyes burned with something the voice on the other end couldn't hear. She wasn't just here to escape. She was here to make Hale feel powerless. She slipped down a narrow staircase into the building's service tunnels. Dim lights buzzed overhead, the smell of metal and damp concrete thick in the air. Her laptop was already connected to the building's internal network. Streams of data rolled across the screen. Cameras, locks, servers. Every nerve of Hale's empire was exposed. She typed quickly, injecting payload, rerouting signals, disabling backups. Within seconds, Hale's entire communications system was crippled. His emails, his encrypted calls, his private servers burned. Victor's desperation. Back in the ballroom, Victor's phone buzzed again. Another message. The truth spreads faster than your lies. By dawn, the world will know you as the thief you are. His breath hitched. He barked at his head of security, Marcus. Find them! Now! This is no random hack. They're in the building. Lock it down. Marcus, a tall man with a military stance, nodded grimly and signaled his team. Guests were hurried out, doors sealed, scanners activated. But the enemy was already one step ahead. Cat and mouse. As Victor scrambled to contain the attack, the city outside was waking up to the scandal. News anchors broke into broadcasts with leaked footage from the ballroom. Headlines exploded online. Victor Hale exposed. Leaked documents reveal corruption. Tech titan linked to offshore laundering. Hale Industries crisis. Stocks in freefall. Within an hour, Hale's empire had lost billions. And it was only 11 p.m. Victor slammed his fists on the table. Who's doing this to me? His voice cracked. Marcus spoke carefully. Whoever they are, they know too much. Sir, this isn't just a hacker. This is personal. Victor froze. Personal. That word gnawed at him. His enemies in business were many, but personal? That narrowed the list. His mind flashed through faces of people he had crushed, ruined, silenced. Too many to count. But somewhere, in the recesses of his memory, a name whispered. A family he had destroyed long ago. He pushed the thought away. No. Impossible. The trap. Meanwhile, Amara reached a secured maintenance room deep below the ballroom. Inside was one of Hale's central servers. The beating heart of his empire. She inserted her black drive. Lines of code danced across the monitor. Her virus slithered into the system like smoke under a door. She wasn't just erasing data. She was rewriting history. Contracts forged by bribes, shell companies hidden in islands, networks of influence. All of it was being dragged into the light. But then, her screen blinked red. Intrusion detected. Trace initiated. Her jaw tightened. Hale's cyber defense team was fighting back. And they were good. Too good. Damn, she whispered, her fingers flying across the keyboard. This wasn't just about hiding her location now. This was war. Victor fights back. Victor's tech lead appeared beside him, pale and sweating. Sir, the hacker is inside the system. They're using custom malware we've never seen before. It's tearing through everything. Then stop it. Victor roared. We're trying, but No excuses. Victor grabbed the man by the collar. Trace them. I don't care what it takes. Find them. The man nodded shakily. His team began counterattacks, tracing IP addresses, locking servers, setting digital firewalls. The room buzzed with tension, and slowly they began to see it. A signal, a ghost of a location. The narrow escape. Amara's system flashed warnings. "They're close," she muttered, sweat dripping down her temple. She yanked out the drive just as the last of her virus finished uploading. The screens around her went black, then lit up again, showing Victor Hale's face, but not from tonight. Old footage, recordings of him in private meetings, bribing politicians, threatening whistleblowers. The system was broadcasting his sins on every available feed, across the city, across the internet. Phase 2 was complete, but footsteps thundered in the hall outside. Security. Amara shoved her laptop into her bag, pulled up her hood, and slipped into the ventilation shaft just as the door burst open. Armed guards swarmed the room. Too late. From a vent above, she watched them search in confusion. One of them shouted into a radio, "She was just here." She smirked in the shadows. "You'll never catch a ghost." Victor realizes the enemy. Victor's hands trembled as screens all over his private war room replayed his darkest secrets. Marcus leaned in. "Sir, whoever's behind this knows you, knows your past." Victor's throat went dry. His mind flashed back to a man he had ruined years ago. A man with a daughter. "Impossible," he muttered. She wouldn't dare. But in his gut he knew. And for the first time, Victor Hale felt true fear. __. To be continued. Amara wasn't finished. This was only Phase 2. Phase 3 would be the final blow. The moment Hale's empire didn't just bleed, it burned. But could she stay ahead of the hunt long enough to deliver it? The Shadow War had begun. _. The night sky over the city glowed with a strange light. Screens across skyscrapers still flashed Victor Hale's corruption files. His name was trending worldwide. #HaleExposed. Stocks nosedived. Politicians withdrew their support, and investors vanished like smoke. But Amara knew this wasn't victory yet. This was just the opening act. Phase 3, the final destruction, still remained. And Hale wasn't going to sit still. _. Victor's counterattack. In his private tower, Victor stood before a massive glass wall overlooking the city. Behind him, a team of cyber experts worked frantically. The war room was alive with the sound of clacking keyboards, radio chatter, and the constant ping of alerts. Marcus, his chief of security, reported grimly, "Sir, every major outlet has your files. They won't stop spreading. We can't silence the internet." Victor's fist slammed into the glass table, shattering the edge. "Then we burn the source," he roared. "This hacker thinks they're clever. Find them. Drag them out. I don't care what it costs." A tech lead spoke carefully. "We trace a fragment of the signal to an abandoned district, but it's clever, it keeps moving." Victor narrowed his eyes. "Then we move faster. Double the surveillance. Hire mercenaries, if we must. Whoever is behind this doesn't know who they're dealing with. I built an empire from nothing. I won't let a ghost tear it down." But in truth, his empire was already bleeding. And deep down, Victor was haunted by a single thought. What if this isn't just a hacker? What if it's personal? _. Amara's hideout. Meanwhile, Amara sat in a dimly lit room, her laptop glowing against her tired face. The walls were plastered with blueprints of Hale's buildings, lists of shell companies, timelines of scandals. All her years of research spread like a war map. She whispered to herself, "Almost there. Phase 3 will end him." Her hands moved across the keyboard like a pianist on fire. She bypassed encrypted vaults, cracked hidden accounts, and opened files Hale thought would never see daylight. Among them, proof of bribes, blackmail tapes, even a secret offshore server where billions were stored under stolen identities. She copied everything onto her drive, but as she worked, a chill ran down her spine. Her screen flickered. A red __ warning appeared. Trace detected. Location compromised. Her heart raced. They had found her. The hunt begins. Outside, Black SUVs screeched into the alleyways. Armed men poured out, faces covered, weapons ready. Drones buzz above like vultures circling prey. Inside, Amara packed her equipment in seconds, slipping the drive into her pocket. She glanced at a framed photo by her laptop, a picture of her father holding her as a child. His smile, long gone, gave her strength. She whispered, "For you, Baba." Kicking open the fire exit, she dashed into the night just as the first squad burst into her hideout. Gunfire erupted, the room she had just left exploding into sparks and shattered screens. Amara sprinted to the narrow streets, her hood low, weaving through shadows as bullets struck walls behind her. Victor smells blood. In his war room, Victor watched a live feed from the drones. A blurry figure running, slipping through alleys, his lips curled into a cruel smile. "Got you," he whispered. He leaned toward the screen. "Who are you, little ghost? Show me your face." For a moment, the drone camera caught Amara glancing upward. Just a flash of her eyes, dark, burning with fury. Victor froze. Something about that look. It hit him like a ghost in the past. Those eyes, I've seen them before. A past unearthed. Memories clawed their way back, of a man he once destroyed years ago. A small tech entrepreneur who accused Victor of stealing code. Victor had crushed him publicly, ruined him financially, until the man disappeared. The man had a daughter. Victor whispered to himself, "No, it can't be." But deep in his chest, he knew. The escape. Amara reached an old metro tunnel, long abandoned. She ducked inside, breathless, pulling wires from her bag. Her laptop connected to a power source hidden in the dark. Above ground, drones lost their signal. Mercenaries cursed, searching empty streets. Victor slammed his fist. Find her. She's too close. She knows everything. But Amara, hidden underground, was already typing again. Her eyes glowed in the screen's reflection. "This ends tonight," she muttered. "Phase 3 begins now. ___. To be continued. Amara had survived the hunt. Victor had begun to suspect her true identity. The war was no longer just digital. It was personal. And both of them knew. Only one would walk away when the Empire finally burned. The fall of the Empire __. The city was awake like never before. Screens blazed with Victor Hale's corruption. The world's eyes fixed on the billionaire who once seemed untouchable. But Victor still fought, desperate to strangle the truth before it choked him. Yet Amara was done running. Tonight, there would be no shadows. Tonight, she would face him. __. The confrontation. Inside Hale's towering skyscraper, Victor stormed into his private vault. Gold bars, priceless art, offshore accounts, and stacks of files surrounded him. His last fortress. As he locked the door, a voice echoed through the chamber. "Running to your treasures, Victor?" He spun, heart pounding. Amara stepped out of the shadows, hood down, eyes blazing. "You," Victor hissed. "It was you all along." Amara's voice was steady, each word cutting like glass. "You stole my father's work. You stole his life, and you thought I would forget." Victor sneered. "Your father was weak. He cried about fairness while I built an empire. That's why he lost, and why you'll lose too." Amara shook her head. "No, Victor. Tonight, the world wins. The final blow." She held up a small device. "This," she whispered, "is Phase 3. Victor lunged at her, but she tapped the button before he could reach her. All around them, screens flickered alive, broadcasting live to millions worldwide. Cameras hidden in the vault captured Victor, standing among his stolen riches, facing the daughter of the man he ruined. And then Amara's voice carried across the globe. "This is the man who robbed my father, destroyed lives, and called it business. Tonight, justice is served." Victor's face drained of color. He roared at the cameras, smashing them, but it was too late. Every word, every second was streaming live. __. The collapse. Outside, the stock market plunged into chaos. World leaders denounced him. Banks froze his accounts. Allies turned enemies overnight. And then sirens wailed. Police helicopters circled the tower. SWAT teams stormed the building. Victor stumbled back, sweating, trembling. "You ruined me," he screamed. "Do you think the world cares about your father? They'll forget you tomorrow." Amara's eyes burned with calm fire. "Maybe, but they'll never forget." The vault doors blew open. Armed officers poured in, guns raised. Victor Hale, once untouchable, dropped to his knees. Amara's victory. As the officers dragged Victor away, Amara stood silently, her mission complete. She reached into her pocket and touched a small photo of her father. A tear slipped down her cheek, but she smiled. "It's over, Baba. We did it." Outside the tower, thousands gathered, cheering, chanting. Screens replayed the moment Victor Hale was finally exposed. Amara slipped into the crowd, vanishing like a ghost. To the world, she was a legend now, an anonymous hacker who had toppled an empire. But to her, she was simply a daughter who kept her promise. Epilogue. Weeks later, the news was still ablaze. Victor Hale sentenced for crimes of corruption. His empire lay in ruins. And somewhere far away, Amara sat quietly in a small cafe. Laptop open, fingers poised. She no longer hacked for revenge. Now, she hacked for justice. Her war against corruption had only just begun. Because sometimes, all it takes to silence a billionaire is a waitress with a cause. ________________________ The end.